Hey guys, Celtic Fury 3 here, doing another commentary for Rome 2 Total War. In this battle, I'm doing a 2v2, or hosting a 2v2. I'm with a friend of mine, Fog IDK 98032, playing as a Macedonian, so I'm playing as Carthage. And then our opponents, Lazybone 0424, playing as the Macedonians, and Dubia, playing as Romans. I'm doing my normal Carthaginian setup, or so far my normal Carthaginian setup. Elephants to handle enemy cavalry, because Carthage Cav kind of sucks. Slingers, and a mix between spears, hoplites, pikes, swordsmen, and more hoplites. This is a very interesting battle, because our opponents, one of them took a very, very defensive stance, and the other one took a very, very aggressive one. They lacked cohesion and cooperation, obviously, and that really, really attributed to us being able to beat them. Because we did, we were cooperative, and we had cohesion, something they didn't have. So anyway, put my men in phalanx there, and take the left side there. Once again, going to the extreme left. What you're gonna see is that the Roman who is facing off against the Macedonian to my right, is who we'll call Fog, or IDK, whoever his name is. To the right of me, you're gonna see the Roman take him on, and I'm gonna help him out later, and that's where our cohesion beats theirs. Anyway, or their lack of cohesion, I should say. My ally has some foot companions, 3 foot companions, I believe, 3 normal pikemen, and 4 supporting hoplites with 2 companion cav on the flank, 1 on each flank, and lots of archers, and I think he's got some peltas or something there, and his general unit, which I think is companion cavalry. So a very, very strong army, fairly balanced for my ally there, IDK. Anyway, we're gonna get started soon here, hopefully. Like I said, the Macedonian, the guy I'm facing, takes on a very defensive posture, even laying down some traps, which actually did eventually end up working to total accident, and it was the end of the battle. It didn't even really matter, but the Roman did really do a good job of tearing up my ally. He really didn't tear him up, but he gave him a run for his money, but my ally had it handled, or at least it seemed like he did, but I was able to get over there with my elephants and cavalry and really support him. So straight off the bat, you can see the Macedonian, and like, it's far away, but you can already tell he's in a very, very supportive, defensive stance right there, and already you can see the lack of cohesion. The Roman is starting to peel off. There's separation between them, and my Macedonian ally, I'm highlighting those traps because I don't want my ally to run on them. There were some more traps there. He's got 4 agrarian axemen, kind of these short-ranged but mean ranged units, and then he's got, I believe, 4 thorax pikemen, and hoplites in support, and a shield bearer for a general. And then I brought 3 skirmisher cavalry, which I immediately knew he was going to try to get my elephants with, so you're going to see me draw them back, because I don't want to lose them, especially have them run amok. Something I should have done early in the battle is brought up my slingers to challenge his skirmisher cavalry, because later you'll see my slingers rout quite a bit of his skirmisher cavalry, and get lots of kills on them. So it's important to, if your opponent is insisting on using a skirmisher cavalry unit, to use foot skirmishers for, they're kind of superior in the long run fight. So I actually, you don't see it here, but I'm going to catch his cavalry, be able to catch him and cause actually quite a few casualties on the charge there, make him shake and maybe start to waver. No, not quite. What he's trying to do with that skirmisher cavalry, what he's trying to do, and it's not necessarily a bad strategy for just an average or new player, I should say, because I'll be honest, I'm an average player. It's not a bad strategy trying to run me into his trap, but it's not going to work. It's just not, because I'm a better micromanager than that, frankly. You can see me kind of spazzing out and withdrawing my units constantly. Yeah, but the skirmisher cav really don't do much during the battle. They really don't do much. Not really working for him. But I get my slingers up there, and they kind of wreak havoc on his units, cause lots of casualties. And as you can see, I brought my elephants back for fear of losing them. Now here in the forest pops up 3 Praetorian cav against my 1 shot cav. That's not at all something I want to be taking on right now. So I go ahead and I'm deterring these skirmisher cav with my melee cav. I'm moving up my elephants immediately, and I'm gonna form up my flank with pikemen and hoplites for an attack, and I'm trying to withdraw that shot cav just in time to deter that Praetorian cavalry attack. But he's gonna withdraw soon because he realizes those elephants are gonna tear him up, and as well my cavalry support and my pike support. It's just not a good idea. He'd be foolish to do that. And so my cavalry on the right flank here are continuing to pursue these skirmisher cavalry. We've cut them off from the main army. It'd be very difficult for them to get back, and they'd be exhausted and probably have a morale penalty for that exhaustion by the time they did get back. So I'm not really worried about them, but my men will continue to pursue, and I think they eventually rout them. Yeah, you can see they rout right there. Anyway, so I'm going to bring that unit back, and the Roman already starting to separate more and more, and now I didn't notice this in the battle, which is why I left my cav on the left flank for a long time, even though they did not need to be there. You saw my slingers just do some damage to his skirmisher cav. But anyway, I left my cav on the left flank because I feared those Praetorian cav coming back, because I didn't realize that he had shifted his Praetorian cav to himself instead of his ally, and that was a failure on my part. Now here I'm drawing my elephants to my center to keep them protected against the skirmisher cav, because I know that's what he's after. He brought that skirmisher cav only to make my elephants rout and run amok, but it's not going to work. I'm going to see what he's trying to do there, and get ahead of him and move my elephants out of the way before he has a chance to get even close to them. So my ally is kind of moving on our right and taking some good ground here, and I think he's confident and knows that my guy won't move at all, which he doesn't. He really doesn't, and that's really a fault of his. He needs to not do that, not stand by passively while your ally is fighting at all, or in this case, getting torn to bits. Really not a good idea. So I continue to pursue these skirmisher cavalry because they're annoying me and I don't want them anymore. He only has 1 more unit, and that unit actually lives till the tidbit end of the battle. He actually forgets about them. I'm gonna draw back my skirmishers, try to catch him, just destroy his men in 1 volley. My cavalry just seem to be unable to catch his, which really sucks for me, but it's not a huge deal as they can't do too much damage. I'm telling him don't attack because, you know, whenever you're in a 2v2 or a 3v3, it's important to act as a team. That's your best strength, is your team, and you want to go ahead and attack together and attack coordinated, and like I said earlier, with cohesion, so that the attack doesn't fail, and you're not fighting one person at a time, because that's one of the best things to fight against in Total War, is 1 player at a time. So when you give your opponents that, they're laughing with joy, because they only have to fight 1 person at a time. They can surround him, destroy him, and finish him off, and then focus on the next people while keeping their armies intact. Anyway, so he's moving up his skirmishers. They don't have much range, so he's really gonna have to push them up a lot. But I'm gonna move my infantry corps back and stay out of his range, and move my slingers up to take on that skirmisher battle, because they can win that easily. Those men have no armor, so they'll really rip him up. His ranged units. But I'm trying to keep my infantry corps away from them, because a couple volleys from those agrarian axemen, I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know the spelling. I think it's agrarian, but that's a type of economy. But whatever. They do a lot of missile damage because they're throwing axes. So, I don't want to take that on any of my units. Anyway, so the Roman, you can see there's a large gap there, and I'm gonna go ahead and paint it for you guys if I can. I can't paint it right now, but anyway, there's a large gap, if you can look on the mini map, between his ally and him, and he is not helping him out at all, and really, it's not good for him, and he's gonna end up eating that, because later it's going to be a 2v1 because I'm able to support my ally. I was smart enough to say, hey, you know what? That could go either way over there. And actually my ally, after I helped him, was like, thanks for the help, because it was looking close. My elephants really got in there and routed quite a few of his units. So I'm moving my cavalry on the right flank, and then here I'm going to go ahead and say, he needs my elephants to rout these steady men, because once they're steady, they're susceptible to a rout by shock. So I'm moving in my elephants, but I'm also moving up some cav on the right flank there to support my ally, and still doing some skirmisher, as I've said before, foreplay. And right there, that's when he forgets about that skirmisher cav, and I don't care about it. It's not really going to do much. So he's going to try to once again draw my unit into his little trap, but it's not going to work. I'm going to be able to see that and respond, but I quickly turn around to him, trying to catch me off guard, and attack his companion cav. But my cav lose that fight so easily, and not easily. Well, yeah, they do lose. They lose hard. It's pretty bad. Taking some serious casualties. So I'm going to move up my elephants initially to attack him, but then I'm going to see his agrarian axeman. I feel like I'm pronouncing that wrong. It must be something else. It's not agrarian. That's like it's a type of economy. I'm actually learning about that in school, but anyway, I'm staying away from his missile units because I have an experience with the agrarian axemen. The axemen, let's just call them that. The axe throwers, and but because they're a missile unit, I'm pretty sure they'll frustrate and rout the elephants. So you can see my elephants jumped down with that one legionary unit, routed it, because it hit them on the flank, and I'm continuing to manage my elephants through this, staying away from his axemen, and but helping out my ally at the same time. It was not easy, believe it or not. My elephants are going to get in there. His Triarii is going to be the only thing that really hurts my elephants during that fight. But and they do that, exactly. Anyway, and that was definitely one of the most challenging things for me. I wanted to help my ally from the get-go, but I was afraid that my opponents still had cavalry on my left flank, which they didn't, as I found out later. But I was afraid they did, and I was also afraid of his axemen. I was afraid they were going to rout my elephants and then be of no help, because that's one of the things in Total War that you need to learn. Those of you that haven't, whether you're a new player or you're just haven't learned yet, it's important to react to everything, even if you're quote-unquote overreacting, but don't react and do something that's harmful, especially to your team. This is why I like 1v1s, because the strategy changes quite a bit. You have to work with a teammate, and work it out. It changes the strategy and the communication a lot, which is why I don't really like 1v1s. They seem boring. Anyway, so my elephant's really doing some hard routing on that side. What I hate is that he runs over the pits and he doesn't take any casualties. Those spike traps, he doesn't take any casualties. What? How's that work exactly? Explain that to me. but later I'm gonna run my men on it. They're actually infantry, so you'd think that they'd be able to dive in and out. Anyway, whatever. But I do lose my elephants, but at this point my opponent now, partly because of my elephants, is now able to free up his units and attack and clean up that flank. Anyway, Dubia left, the Roman left. He realized it was pretty much hopeless, and that it was. He's gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and advance here, and we're gonna. I still don't want to attack straight on because of those pits. I'll take lots of casualties marching a large army across them, and I do take quite a few casualties marching to a small segment of my army. You'll see later. I was kind of like, oh, I totally forgot about them, and honestly, I didn't really care at that point. But it probably added a good 80 extra casualties that were totally unnecessary, and like I've said before, one of the worst things you can ever have in Total War is unnecessary casualties. Never take unnecessary casualties. That's the worst. Do something. Make those casualties worth it. Don't do something stupid, of course, but don't not do something. That's one of the worst things you can ever do. And that there, my ally says thanks for the help, and I'm like, hey man, no problem. Because that's how 2v2s work, you know. You need to work as a team, play as a team, and you know, I know I've said this before. I don't want to beat it too much, but have cohesion, work together, help each other. It's very, very important. Now, often it's still 1v1 in the sense that you have your opponent, they have their opponent. In the first battle I posted, you saw that I was able to beat my opponent, but my ally lost to his opponent, and so you still have that 1v1 sense. So anyway, I'm breaking up my infantry corps, and that's what I like about having an infantry corps, is I've always have those three in the center, and usually the three in the center, you'll see in my setups, they're usually elite, because I like having a strong center that doesn't break easily. What's also nice about that is I know that I can break off segments of my army based around those three units, and here I do that. And he also marched back that skirmisher cavalry, but I think they're about to be routed. Don't think they're gonna last very long here. So I'm kind of screening his army movements with my slingers all the way. And this time I'm gonna say screw you, and I'm gonna bring full contact to this companion cav unit, while also staying away from those whatever the hell they are. I forget. They're like, I believe they're the pits with the spikes in them. So I broke off that left infantry segment, but then I had them attack the cavalry, and the cavalry went straight through the spikes, and so that infantry segment went, as they followed them, went straight through the spikes as well. Really sucked for me. But anyway, so taking some casualties. You can see you lost 11 men in that unit. More to come, blah blah blah. This time I send off one of my cav units to just handle that skirmisher cav, because I know it's almost the end of the battle. And here I'm going to start attacking the flank of my opponent as my ally. Once again, doing an awesome job, taking the majority of the work. As he takes pretty much the frontal assault, the entire frontal assault, from my opponent, the guy who was my responsibility. So my opponent didn't, my ally. My opponent did a good job too, my opponents, but my ally did an awesome job of taking on the Roman, and while he did receive help from me, also taking on a large portion of this Macedonian army. But here I'm going to go ahead and start moving units to the flank, and coming in. I'm going to attack these hoplites, because that's all they are, is hoplites. They're not elite shield bearers, but even if they were shield bearers, they would have still broken under the simple weight of my charge. So I'm going to tie down his pikes and such, and then do organized charges against these hoplites and support my allies' cav charge. We're going to, once we break those hoplites, the little square he's pulling off is going to break. And you're actually going to see at the last seconds of the battle is a total enswampment of my troops just and my allies' troops just destroying him. There's just this. He's holding the line here, holding the line, desperately trying to pull this off, but he doesn't. And once he doesn't hold the line, his men. Once my men punch through, it's a slaughterhouse. And I actually zoom in on that, give y'all some cinematic action, because I know I don't do that enough. So for that, I apologize. So my cav took care of that skirmisher cavalry. They were able to finally catch up, and here I'm just gonna suicide charge my general. I don't even really care anymore. Just go ahead and throw those buffs out for like the first time in the battle. Sometimes I'm bad about remembering the buffs that my general gives. And here it's really strange. Those shield bearers held a lot of morale. He's putting them in square here. They're forming up, and they hold out for a decent amount of time. They're wavering, and then they rout. But still, considering there were no other units, usually the army losses morale kicks in, the morale deficiency, and they're done. So that's the battle. Good game to my opponents, and thanks a lot for my ally doing an awesome job in that battle there. As you can see, I killed 468. My ally killed 1,142, and the enemy killed 611 and 408. You guys can pause that. Look at that, because I don't feel like explaining anymore. So like I said, good game to my opponents. Please comment, rate, subscribe, the usual YouTube shit, and please leave any critical feedback. Is what I'm interested in. Tell me things I can improve on. Oh, you sound too nasal. You need a better mic. Don't be rude and an asshole. But any feedback is great. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe. Alright, this is Kelly 383. See y'all later.